LeetCode Problem number 97, Interleaving String. So this problem gives us three strings, S1, S2, and S3, and the goal is to find out whether or not S3 can be formed by interleaving S1 and S2. So what that means is if we have S1 and S2 and we break them up into substrings, can we form S3? Right, so that's basically it. So here I have an example set up for us. S1 is ABC, S2 is DEF, and S3 is this, right? So after that, I have three ints here, which keeps track of the three sizes, N1 for S1, N2 for S2, N3 for S3. Afterwards, I have this simple if statement, which checks if I were to add both of these lengths, will it be equals to 6? If it does not, means that they are not, basically if no matter how much I try to interleave, since both of these lengths are not the same, they will never be the same as S3. Next, I have a Boolean vector called dp, which will store n2 plus 1 number of booleans, right? So let me initialize them as false first. So n2 is 3, so we have 4 falses. Alright, next we enter a for loop with I equals to 0 and iterates through as long as it's lesser or equals to n1. And j as well, which does the same thing. Right, the inner for loop. So here we have the booleans. So f1 char. So if you look here, since I and j are both 0, right, that's nothing out. So we don't need to check about the rest behind it. So both of these will be false for the first character at least. And here, dpj, j is 0, so we're looking at over here. It equals to s1 or s2 or I plus j equals 0. So since I and j are both zeros and they add up to 0, so this will in turn become true. Okay, next j will increment to 1. So now we do the same thing again. So since this is always true, we will not be looking, since this is always true, not I is still 0, so this is still false. But over here, j is more than 0 now, right? J is 1. So we check dpj minus 1, j minus 1. Since this is true, we can continue. S2, string 2, j 1 minus 1. This is equal to I plus j 1 minus 1. So in this case, since D and A are false, right? So let me do a I plus j as well. I plus j goes to 1. Okay, so again, we start from this. I is not more than 0, so this is already false. But for this one, j is more than 0, right? This is true. And what about this? So dpj minus 1, j is 1. Minus 1 is true, this is true. And the last one, s2j minus 1, s2j minus 1, d. So this is d. Is this equals to s3 of 1 minus 1 will be 0. So s3 0 is a. Since this is false, which means s2 char is false as well. And since both of these are false, so dpj, this is false. Right. Next, j will increment to 2. This will become false. This will stay false forever. Well, not forever, but for the duration of this for loop. This is true. this is false, right? J is now 2. So 2 minus 1 is false. So when it is false, 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 dpj is false. Same for this as well, right? Technically, because j minus 1, this is false as well. Alright, so that's the first loop done. I will increment to now 1. J will be back to 0. This is now 1. And now we do this. Now we can take a look at from char 1 as well. So I more than 0, this is true. dpj, j is 0, so this is true. And s1, basically we have this, right? So s1, I minus 1 is 0, so s1 0 is a. Is a equal to, here we have 1 minus 1 0. Is a equals to s3 0, which is a. So this is true. So I know we have not done for this, but looking at this condition here, we are checking whether or not either one of them is true. Since s1 is already true, we can technically skip doing for s2 and just mark dpj, j is 0 as true, right, which is already true. J now increments. So we do the same thing, dpj, in this case this is false, right, so we don't need to check anymore. This is true, and dpj minus 1, j is 1, 1, 1 is 0, this is true. And for the last one, so j is 1, 0, which in turn gives us d. I plus j is 2, 2 minus 1 is 1, so this will give us b. Since they are not the same, this is false, which means all of this is false, right? dpj is still false. Alright, j will increment 2, but since the one before is already false, we technically don't have to do this anymore, right? Both of these over here, dpj, j and j minus 1 are both false, so technically nothing will change. So we're going to skip all of that and go to when I is equals to 2. Alright, now when I equals to 2, this is true, and dpj, this is true, right? J is true here, and we have to check for this now. So s1, I, 2 minus 1 is 1. Is this equals to, is s1 b equals to s3 1? Yes, right, this is b as well. So this is true. Then we know dpj, which is going to be true as well, right? Next, j increments. Now we check again. dpj, this is false, right? 0, 1, false. So we don't need to check for s1 anymore. So let's take a look at s2. S2, j is more than 1. Yes, true. J minus 1 is true. What about this? Is 1, 0. S2, 0 is D. 3 minus 1 is 2. S3, 2, 0, 1, 2 is D. Right, which means this is true. And dpj, 1, 0, 1 means this is true as well. Okay, now we increment j to 2, and yep, let's do the same thing. 2 and dpj, this is false, so we don't need to check for that. J minus 1, this is true. What about this? J is 2, 2 minus 1 is 1. S21 is E. Is E the same as 4 minus 1, 3, S33, 0, 1, 2, 3, same as E? Yes, they are the same. It's 4 by the way. So, dpj, this is true as well. Right, because if you see here, we are EB, and then DE, and then next we have obviously the C and F, right? Okay, anyways, J now is 3, so we already know this is going to be false because J is false. Over here, it's true, true. Let's check one more time for this, but we know it's going to be false because this is C, right? So 3 minus 2, S2 is F. This is now 5, 5 minus 1 is 4. S3, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is C, right? So F does not equal to C, so this will remain false. Okay, last loop, I is now 3, J back to 0, this is 3, and now we check again. So this is true, sorry, this is true, right? dpj is true, but we don't need to check again since they're all true. So I'm just going to skip when j is 3, right? So now j is 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, this is false, true and false, right? Then we check here, S2 is true, j minus 1 is true, and then we check for this. So j is 3, 3 minus 1 is 2, S2 is F. If F equals to 3 plus 3 minus 1 is 6 minus 1 is 5. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is F. Since they are both the same, this will return as true. And the for-loop is now done. When we return dp back, which is the last boolean, we get true, right? Which means S3 can be made by interleaving S1 and S2, which makes sense. If let's say this is not F, this is G, for example, then we will not have the last true because over here it will not be, this will result in false, right? When that happens, this last one will become false and it will just return false, right? That is one of the examples. Anyways, that's all I have to show. Thanks.